This month we have a success story from one of our partners here at the MOC, Tomahawk Live Trap, and Greg will be presenting. Here at the MOC, our purpose is to make sure all of our partners in the orange section that you see in Heidi's picture are maintaining good jobs in Wisconsin and making sure to attract and keep all those jobs here. We offer services anything from lean to quality to problem solving, anything you can think of in the manufacturing sector, we're here to help with. There's 9 of us that cover that portion of the state, and all of us come from different backgrounds. Operational, quality, safety, automation. And the good thing about the MOC is if one of the 9 of us can't help you, we have the University of Wisconsin Stout to help us with anything that one of us might not be able to handle. So anytime you're driving into work in the morning and think, if I just had that extra bandwidth, if I just could figure out this one problem, think of the MOC. That's really what we're here for. And we'd be glad to come out and visit your site and give you a hand with whatever that problem might be. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Greg. He had a problem once upon a time, 3 or 4 years ago, and had us in, and short-term dividends and long-term dividends, as you're going to hear in the story. It's a great one, so buckle in. As Greg presents, he'll take questions at the end of each slide, so please don't be afraid to raise your hand, or at the end of each slide, there'll be a slight pause while we take some questions. Thank you so much, and Greg, take it away.
All right, well, Kevin and I had talked before we got started here, and he actually was going to do a little bit of an intro. So I'll hand it over to Kevin and then take it back from him.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Thiel. I'm one of the 9 field consultants that Bob mentioned in the field, and our team has worked with a number of different companies on their continuous improvement efforts. And the subject often comes up about flow and the impacts for organizations and what flow really can do and how it's measured and how to make improvements to it. And the reality is that there's usually no silver bullet. It's a lot of different elements that are factors for that. And the story here at Tomahawk Live Trap does really do a good job at demonstrating that. So we asked Greg here to help share his journey on continuous improvement and flow. So we have a PowerPoint presentation that's kind of going to guide our discussions. So Greg, let's go to, let's see here.
Page down.
I know.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Let's go to your organization. Let's talk a little bit about the history of a Tomahawk Live Trap, if you would share.
All right. Well, Tomahawk Live Trap has been in business for nearly 100 years. It'll be our 100th year next year. It was started by a mink rancher who invented a trap to recapture the odd escaped mink. Before long, he found that he was spending most of his time making traps and got out of the mink ranching business. In 1965, my dad purchased the company, and he ran it until he passed away in 2002. And then I bought the business at the age of 52 in 2012. I had been working at Hormel Foods in the IT department for 27 years. So I had a lot of business experience building business processes. The state of the business in 2012 wasn't very good. Our gross sales were flat year to year at around $2 million annually. There were 20 or so employees. We had lots of turnover. Culture was toxic. No trust between ownership and employees, very little communication, very little reinvestment in the company, no new products for years, no clear advertising strategy. Competition was kicking our butt, so we were in trouble. But it did have a brand, and I recognized that when I bought the company. State of the business in 2024, through 10 years of working with MOC and developing our continuous improvement journey and our culture Today, our sales have quadrupled from when we bought the company. Workforce has doubled to 44 employees. We have stable workforce with little turnover. Culture is very positive. Workers are engaged. We introduce new products every year, and we're regarded as the leader in our industry. So it's been a rewarding and quite a turnaround. We're real proud of the accomplishment. We're real excited to come to work every day.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I'm glad you're sharing this with us today. Any questions? Okay, I'll continue on. So tell us a little bit about your product line, what you make and what you offer.
Okay,
You don't need it.
what's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what do we sell? We sell animal traps, cages, ranging in size from traps to catch mice all the way on up to bears and everything in between. We sell animal handling equipment snake handling equipment such as tongs, hooks, snake bags. We do animal handling equipment such as control poles, gloves, nets. We have probably over 1,000 different SKUs, just a wide variety of traps, cages, and animal handling equipment. Our sales breakdown, we have over 30,000 customers, and that grows every day. 35% of our sales is through distributors who resell to their customers. 65% is directly to consumers, and 20% in this country, domestic sales, and 20% is international sales. Who are our customers? We sell to animal shelters who handle mostly cats and dogs, animal control officers and police departments. When you think about it, most towns, even small towns, have an animal control department, and they buy a lot of our products like the dog catcher poles, animal nets. Researchers, these are mostly government researchers that do studies on animals. Fur trappers, there are many states now that you can't use the leg hole trap in national forests. You have to use the cage trap, so they're having to buy our products. And then nuisance wildlife control operators. These are companies like Plunkett's and Critter Control, where you might have a raccoon that's gotten into your attic and you don't want to deal with it. So you call Critter Control and they come in and they'll trap that, of course, for a fee and take care of that for you. And then zoos buy a lot of our equipment. So we have quite a variety of different customer segments. And then lastly, how do we sell our products? We have a really good website, and we sell a lot through that website exclusively to our consumers. We take phone orders, that would be consumers and distributors, and then email orders are mostly distributors.
Has that changed over the years? You get the exclusive customer website orders? Is that?
Well, of course, over the years, the website has gotten more and more important. You know, when we first bought the company, we had a really marginal website.
Okay.
But we recognized that was where things were heading.
Yeah.
And it's been vastly improved upon. And
Gotcha.
yeah,
So the organization put some energy into that, huh?
absolutely. You bet.
Any questions for anybody? Okay, thanks for giving us an overview of what you guys make.
All right.
So tell us a little bit about the state of the business, 2012, not so good, and the tipping point. Tell us a little bit about what brought the MOC to your organization and what was the deciding factor for you to engage with the MOC?
Well, I had worked, like I say, I'd worked at Hormel for 27 years, and that was a real positive experience for me. And when I stepped into Tomahawk Live Trap, the shop floor was inefficient. The culture was toxic. There was high turnover. We couldn't attract and keep good people. That to me is challenging because I like to get up in the morning and be excited about coming to work. But with a toxic culture, that can be challenging. We had quality issues. The way that we did things was large batches. And then the very last check station, or last station, is the check station where you find quality issues So we would encounter problems after the whole batch was complete. So that was a challenge and a problem. We couldn't deliver product in a timely manner. We were struggling. We knew we had to do something. So fortunately, MOC the Manufacturers Outreach Center made a cold call. Now, with my experience in Hormel Foods, I had dealt with consultants because I worked in IT. My experience was that they're very expensive and that it's not sustainable. When you're done paying them and they go away, so does everything you paid for over a period of a year or so. So again, I was skeptical, but they explained to me that they had been working with a company near here for a few years, and they invited us to go have a look at the results that they had done for that company. So we put together a core group of people to go take a look, and we were really impressed. They had a clean, organized shop. People were engaged, and we thought, why not? Let's give it a shot. We got to do something.
So kicking the tires with another company that's been engaged with the MOC and getting results were pretty much the deciding factors for you.
That was the tipping point to making the decision, to pulling the trigger to bring you in, was seeing the results at that other company. And that was an eye opener for us. It's a nice company.
Gotcha. Excellent. Any questions from anybody? Okay, I'm going to continue on then. All right, let's talk a little bit about the journey that started in, it sounds like 2012, the cold call, 2013, things started to really happen. Kind of walk us through that, would you, Greg?
Yeah, so on this slide, it's listing a variety of things, but I'm going to talk real general. At first, we knew that we had to enlighten everybody about continuous improvement. So we made the announcement that we were going to bring the MOC in, and they were going to do a day-long class that they called Buzz Electronics. I don't know if you've heard about that, but so we put the word out to the shop floor, and it freaked people out. They were stressed out. They were fearing change. I was worried that we'd get a lot of people calling in sick, but people showed up. MOC came in. They did the day-long class. It was actually a fun class. And at the end of it, people were excited about the potential that it had. So that was how it got started. And since then, we've engaged with them for additional training, which has really been transformational for us. Highlights would include that we implemented single-piece flow, which greatly improved productivity. We learned about value stream mapping to determine more efficient shop floor layouts and workflow. We did several 5S events with MOC to rearrange and improve work area layouts and workflows. And when we're doing these things, we're actively involved and engaged doing it. It's not like they're coming in and doing it for you. You're learning, you're doing it. You know your business better than anybody. They're providing some structure and some guidance, but you're learning it so you can sustain it. Because of the culture change in this training, and this is a real important point, I think, a lot of employees felt that they could come forward with small change improvements, small suggestions. And what we found is that all of those small changes over days and weeks and months really add up and really make a difference. So just to sum it up, the of the initial training for that 4 or 5 year period initially, the impact on the culture, the employee engagement, and profitability has just been incredible for us.
Excellent. So good summation here. I appreciate it. Over the duration, I did a little homework too. I think you had a total of 6 different field consultants from our organization engage in different things throughout that journey, and the variety of different services and assistant facilitations that we offered. And you made a good point there that providing guidance and structure,
Right.
and an experience there that really helps bring that along. So
we still had to do the work. My experience at Hormel was they came in and did everything, and when they left, so did everything they did. And with you guys, kind of you teach us how to fish. You know what I mean? It really
We fish
was-
with you.
we sustained it over the years.
Okay.
Which is critical, I think.
I think the next slide, we'll take questions after the next slide here.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Did you move? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Overview of the timeline.
overview of the timeline. This slide basically shows the impact continuous improvement has had on our company over the years. Gross sales have increased fourfold from 2 to 8 million. Number of employees has doubled from 24 to 44. We put on 2 new warehouses during our journey, costing around $2 million in total. And during this timeline, we've had some real serious challenges that we've had to overcome. I'm sure that some of you have probably experienced some of this, but I think continuous improvement has allowed us to get through it and to actually thrive and continue to set record years as we get through it. COVID for us was challenging. Just getting people to come into work. It scared a lot of people. It was hard to get people. But because of single piece flow and some of the other things that we learned from MOC, we got through it, and we had a record year every year during COVID. But then on April 1st of last year, that was a record year for snowfall up here in the Northwoods. And we had put on a new finished goods warehouse like 3 years before that. Due to the snow load that winter, it collapsed the warehouse. So the $1 million, 12,000 square foot finished goods warehouse was a total loss. And we had around $1 million worth of inventory in that warehouse. And we shipped out of that warehouse. So you can imagine how we all felt when we came to work on Monday and saw that. The thought was, are we going to be in business a year from now? I mean, that was catastrophic. So we kind of regrouped. We moved shipping into the production building. We committed to producing only what was ordered. We're forced to really do just-in-time inventory because we didn't have a place to put inventory. And single piece flow, we just dedicated ourselves to that. And through the course of that year, we really discovered that you could really lean on the concepts of continuous improvement, especially the single piece flow. We wound up having a record year. Now, it wasn't much. It was only a 1% increase. But I mean, we've had years that were 20% increases. And to me, that 1% was just much more incredible because of what we all dealt with. I guarantee you, had we not had continuous improvement training and had knowledge of the concepts and not utilized single piece flow, it would have been devastating to our business, and it would have taken years to overcome that.
Gotcha. So coming off of the training from 2021, you had a team kind of brainstorm. What are we going to do? We don't have a warehouse. What are we going to do?
Well, and that's an excellent point. During this whole process, our goal has been to sustain it from within and then reach out to MOC if we need help here and there. Mm-hmm. So what we did in 2021 was we identified a core group of employees to go through some additional training, and they actually got accredited, I think, and they got a certificate, I believe it was a lean certificate. So that core group really helped to solve problems and figure out how to move forward.
Excellent. Great. Good summation here. Any questions before we move on? Okay, we'll move on here. So you talked a little bit about single piece flow. Tell us a little bit how that took shape, how it came on, and tell us a story.
Okay. So when you guys came in all those years ago, we were all about big batches. We didn't want to do changeover because we thought that was expensive. We thought the bigger the batch, the lower the unit cost. So we were real skeptical. But you convinced us to give it a shot, give this single piece flow a try. We had to do some prepping in order to really give it a fair shot. So the lines were changed to produce similar size products so workstations could be closer with less waste, short travel distance between stations. We created a couple of support work cells to make components for the lines. This allowed the lines to focus on assembly. And we changed our batch sizes from large quantities to much smaller quantities based on how many traps or cages could be cut from one roll of wire. Because to go to the wire warehouse and grab a heavy, large roll to cut one frame from, and then put that roll and wind that roll back up and put it back in the warehouse is expensive. So we decided that instead of making 300 of something, if we can make 30 traps out of a roll, it's going to be a function of that 30. If we still need to make a bigger batch, we'll do 60 because that's 30 per roll. So we cut our batch sizes down based on how many trap frames per roll of wire. And for the lower volume items, we just decided to only make what was ordered, even if we had to go get the roll of wire, cut the 2 or 3 traps or whatever, and then put the roll of wire back away. So we did all of those things to prepare for the trial run. The line was, we went ahead and did it. We had the MOC in here to oversee it. What we concluded when we were done with it was that the line was much more productive. We actually let them go home. That line 1 that we did the trial run on, completed everything we had queued up for them by like 2 in the afternoon, which normally would have taken a day and a half, 2 days. So we just sent them home for the rest of the day, just because we were it was a reward to them, and we were just so impressed by how much more productive single piece flow was. A couple other things about it though. The way we did things was the check station is at the end of the process. So we could do a whole batch and then discover that there was a problem and then have to rework the whole batch. The single piece flow, you catch it right away. And we encountered a couple of those situations. So that was a big benefit. Another huge benefit is, think about a guy sitting at a workstation mindlessly doing the same job hour after hour after hour. They kind of disengage. Mm-hmm. With single piece flow, people are way more engaged. I mean, it's really a culture change for the people on the line.
I remember that day. It was very high in emotion by the people on the floor, mm-hmm. as well, by everybody, and but by creating a situation, and we're going to try this to see how it works. It really opened up things a little bit.
Opened up our eyes. Yeah. So then after we got done with that, we pulled everybody together, discussed the results, and there was such enthusiasm. I bet it wasn't 2 weeks that we had moved single piece flow across all of our lines, and we do it today.
Gotcha.
And that was
that became kind of the baseline of it. This is how it can work for us, mm-hmm. right? Yep. And then you emulated that throughout the rest of the factory. Excellent. Any questions? Okay.
I have yep. one.
Okay.
So we went from batches to building a huge warehouse to store finished goods to single piece flow. What happened to the warehouse when you reconstructed it?
I mean, we ship out of the warehouse. We do store like cardboard, product like that. In the wintertime, our business slows down a bit, and trapping, animal handling is seasonal because in the winter, critters tend to slow down. Some of them will hibernate. So we do build stock in the wintertime because in the spring, it just goes gangbusters.
So it's still a bank. The warehouse is not as populated, not as dense of inventory, but it's still the bank that you end up drawing from because it's a seasonal demand. Huh?
Yeah, and in the high volume items will still make more than what's been ordered. So that's where we would store them. Now, when we didn't have the warehouse, we only made what was ordered. So,
And it showed that how you can, and then you do respond that way on short lead time orders.
yep.
Single piece flow.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. Any other questions? Okay, we'll continue on. So next couple slides here, I think the road to success, and then I think making it work kind of combined a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, this slide shows road to success at TLT. Why don't you forward it to the next one? Because I think the road to success and keys to making it work are really one and the same. To me, that the most important key was bringing MOC in to kind of introduce us to CI, and we can bring them in to refresh us now and then when we need it. But bringing them initially was huge for us. I think also it's important that ownership and management need to commit to continuous improvement. You need to be involved with it. Make sure everyone knows the company is committed to it. You need buy-in from a few key people on the shop floor who also believe in it. Some of those key people will surprise you. They'll be the last people that you would expect that would really get into this. But you got to have those people, because as the owner of the company, there's not enough of me to go around to do everything. You have to develop and encourage these people to really get after it and get it done. So you want to support and encourage the believers. They're the ones that are going to drive it.
Did you have some challenges with that?
You know what? We were fortunate there, because after the initial training and the single piece flow, I mean, there were people that were real excited about it. Okay. So I mean, unfortunately, what happens over time, if there's people that just don't buy into it, frankly, they may not fit into the culture, and you move on from those people. I mean, it's not very many of them, but there certainly was a few people like that.
It's a real situation. Yeah, I understand.
It's important to support and encourage your believers. Don't stifle the enthusiasm. They'll have a tendency to really be excited about continuous improvement, so they'll want to go down every rat hole with it. What you want to do is maybe provide them a priority list, or give them some direction about what you think is important. But if they go to a place that maybe doesn't provide the best return for you right away, you're better off just letting them run with it. I mean, over time, they kind of figure out how to apply it. But in the beginning, when everybody's fired up and enthused, just let them go. Just that's my belief. That's how we did it. And I think that paid dividends. You don't want to do anything to stifle the enthusiasm.
Gotcha.
I think it's important to recognize people or departments who have had success stories, make sure they feel good about their accomplishments. It's real important to communicate, have regular meetings to keep people informed about everything going on in the business. Even recognizing birthdays, employment anniversaries, we think that's important. As I said before, our goal was to sustain lean from within through a group of key employees. But we're not afraid to bring MOC back in for refreshers now and then. You may need to periodically get new hires up to speed, and we found it was beneficial for MOC to provide that refresher training.
Excellent. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll head to kind of summation here. No questions? Okay. Bring us home. Let's take a summary of
move the next slide.
Okay. There we go. Sorry.
All right. Questions of value. So what was the barriers to the application in single piece flow? Well, we were the barriers, because we believed that the bigger the batch, the lower the unit cost. We felt that changeovers were too costly. So we were our own worst enemy with regards to implementing single piece flow. what influenced the culture to the existing state of inclusion, management buy-in, key employee buy-in, communication, recognition of achievements, all of that is really important. So just to sum it all up, what I want to say is that, it costs a little bit of money to bring MOC in. But when I look back at my Hormel career, they're a bargain compared to the consultants that we hired at Hormel. And I feel like the money that we spent for their service has been paid back many times over. The impact was immediate. We had engaged employees, greatly improved productivity, single piece flow caught mistakes early in the process. Our company went from flat sales every year to setting records every year. We're regarded as the most progressive company in our industry, and we introduce new products every year. So in recent years, we've improved the processes that we have here, or implemented new processes. We're not afraid to invest in equipment. We bought a box making machine, which has been tremendous, a new CNC wire forming machine, and a robotic welding machine. And we've had help from the MOC to help us identify equipment that is a good fit for us. They'll go out and do some research and find some companies. We still have to do our due diligence and go talk to these companies and look at the products that we're considering. But the box making machine, a CNC wire forming machine, they've just been incredible, transformational. And MOC made us aware of a grant for the CNC wire forming machine. So we were able to capitalize on that, and we got some funding from the state to help us pay for that. So just to sum it all up, I mean, if you're considering MOC, I would invite you to come to Tomahawk Live Trap. We'll be happy to set up a tour and show you what it has done for us. I would just ask that you reach out to Kevin or Ron to arrange that. And
Excellent.
It
That's a good summation.
wraps it up.
Yeah, well, that's a good summation. The situation right now is that the organization is responsive with results, and it's taken some time to really develop that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And energy and some persistence by the organization, and always with a mindful eye of we can do a better job here. We can make improvements, and people engaged in doing that, supportive of doing that.
It's been a 12-year journey.
Yeah.
And as you said earlier, you had indicated you felt my management style changed, and I didn't know, I wasn't sure I agree with that. I think that it was more continuous improvement, kind of educated some of the key people, and it showed me that they were capable of taking on more, because my philosophy is that you can only grow the business if you're not willing to trust other people and delegate to other people. The business is only going to get so big.
Yeah.
And MOC, I think, has prepared a lot of these people to put us into position to grow the business because they're doing the job.
The Tomahawk Live Trap is fortunate to have a person like you pulling them together, quite honestly, and taking them to that next level. They're very fortunate to have that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions from anybody anywhere? We covered a lot of content, a lot of materials.
Mhm.
The continuous improvement in the flow of Tomahawk Live Trap has evolved over the time, and a lot of different touches to help them along the way and develop processes and people and technology. So those are all good things. So I'm going to take it back to Bob then. Let's see here. I'll stop sharing. Let's see. Stop sharing.
Well, thank you guys. Great story, from beginning to end about how it started versus how it ended and how transformational it was through some really rough business conditions. I mean, nobody expects that type of wrench to get thrown into the gears. You become a well-oiled machine, you got it going, all of a sudden you have this huge, you know, force of God, and now it's what do you do? Are we even going to be in business next year? And you lean on the skills that you learn through our journey together. So it's just great to hear that that's the type of result that can end up from a tragedy like that. So I want to thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Again, I'll open it up for any questions. Um, and if we don't have any questions, thank you, you guys, and we look forward to next month, our webinar. So questions, please.
This is Ron from the MOC. I worked with Greg on the automation projects. And I just had a question about so the box forming machine. That was one of the things that we had identified. But you had mentioned something to me about that I didn't know. And the last time we talked about it was how much space were you able to save in your warehouse and by moving to making boxes on demand over the way you had done it before?
Yeah, so we purchased boxes that were specially made for us to match our products. And I would say 40 to 50% of our finished goods warehouse was to store those boxes. Because you can't order a small quantity. You got to order half a truckload of a certain size. So we brought that box making machine in like a month before the warehouse collapsed, and that got destroyed. But now that's been replaced, and we've whittled down the custom boxes probably 70%. So of that, I would say there's probably less than 10% of the warehouse now is used for storing boxes. So that was a huge benefit for us that we didn't even consider when we bought that machine. And again, that was MOC that made us aware that we should consider getting one of those machines. And it's paid huge dividends. We really like that machine.
Thank you, Greg.
Good question.
All right. Well, thank you guys. If there's no other questions, we'll wrap it up. As they said at the beginning, if you have any other questions or would like to visit Tomahawk Live Trap, please reach out to Kevin or Greg, and we'll get that set up. More than happy to tour the facility and show off all the great work that they've done.